Думаю, еще подтянутся.
Да, подтянутся. Все, можем начинать.
Могу свет включить?
Не, пока не надо. Good afternoon, dear students. Today we have our first lecture on cosmetology. Let's talk about skin structure, natural moisturizing factor, skin pH, skin microflora, skin type. We will talk about each layer of the skin and its components and composition and function. This lecture is different from the lecture that was in dermatology. It is similar in name but different in content. Let's go. Now, what is human skin? The skin is integument of human body. Is the largest and most heterogeneous organ of the body. It's composed of tissue that grows, differentiates, and renews itself constantly. The skin has a multifunctional role, which includes a protective barrier against the ingress of foreign material, chemical, including drugs, microbes and radiation, and the loss of endogenous material such as water regulating body temperature and also acts as immunological and sensory organ. How many layers does the skin consist? Human skin is approximately 3 mm thick, 1.5 to 2 mm in area, 16% of body weight. The skin is made up of two parts, cutaneous membrane or skin and accessory structure or skin appendages. Accessory structures, sweaty gland, sebaceous gland, hair follicle, nerves, vessels, and What is epidermis? Epidermis is stratified squamous epithelium, very thin layer and is firmly attached to dermis at epidermal junction. The epidermis is composed of 4 or 5 layers, depending on the region of skin being considered. Thin skin covers most of the body, has 4 layers of keratinocytes. Thick skin covers the palm of the hand and sole of the feet, has 5 layers of keratinocytes. Dermis made up of 2 layers comprising of fibrous protein, collagen and elastin, which give skin its strength and elasticity. Below dermis is subcutaneous layer. This provides support to the dermis and stores fat which protects the internal structures. Structure of the epidermis. The five strata of keratinocytes in thick skin, from basal lamina to free surface. The epidermis is the most superficial layer of the skin. It is very important from cosmetic standpoint because it is this layer that gives the skin its texture and moisture and contribute to skin color. If the surface of the epidermis is dry or rough, the skin appears aged. Knowledge of the basic structure of the epidermis best enables and practitioner to improve the appearance of the patient's skin. The epidermis primarily consists of keratinocytes, proliferating basal, and differentiated superbasal, which comprise 19% on its cells but also contains melanocytes, Langerhans cells, Merkel cells. Epidermis consists of 5 layers, from lower to upper. The first layer, stratum basale, stratum spinosum, stratum granulosum, stratum lucidum, stratum corneum, in which keratinocytes gradually migrate to the surface and is solved off or shed off in process called desquamation. Keratinocytes, also known as carnocytes, are the cells that comprise the majority of the epidermis. When the stem cells divide, they create daughter cells which slowly migrate to the top of the epidermis. This process of daughter cells maturing and moving to the top is called keratinization. As keratinocytes migrate through the layers of the epidermis, their contents and functions change according to or depending on the specific epidermal layer in which they are moving. The layers of the epidermis are named for these characteristic traits. For example, the first layer is the basal layer because it's located at the basal of the epidermis. The next layer is referred to as the spinosum layer because the cells in this layer have prominent spiny attachment called spiny connection called desmosomes. The next layer is the granular layer, named so because these cells contain visible keratohyaline granules. The last outermost layer is the stratum corneum, or hungry layer, condensed mass of cells that have lost their nuclei and granules, dead cells, also known as carnocytes. The stratum corneum is covered by protein materials called cell envelope, which aids in providing a barrier to water loss and absorption of unwanted materials. The basal layer, stratum basale. The stratum basale is single layer. Basal layer just above basement membrane contains keratinocytes. Basal cells join with basement membrane via hemodesmosomes, and the overlying spinosum cells via desmosomes. Melanocytes, Merkel cells, and Langerhans cells determine in stratum spinosum. Basal cells are responsible for maintaining the epidermis by continually renewing the cell's population. On the basal layer, 10% of cells are stem cells. Normally, stem cells are slowly dividing cells, but under certain conditions such as wound healing or exposure to growth factor, they divide faster. In normal skin migration of the keratinocytes from the basal to the skin surface take between 24 to 30 days, during which time the cells synthesize lipid structure and proteinaceous material called keratin. Specialized cells of stratum basale. Merkel cells found in hairless skin respond to touch target nervous system responsible to sensation. Melanocytes contain the pigment melanin scattered through stratum basale. The most important function, melanocytes, skin color, and protection function of ultraviolet radiation. Stratum spinosum, the spiny layer produced by division of stratum basale. 8 to 10 layers of keratinocytes bound by desmosomes. Cells shrink until cytoskeletons stick out spiny. Continue to divide, increasing thickness of epithelium. Contain dendritic Langerhans cells active in immune responsible. The stratum basale desmosome are very prominent in this layer, thus accounting for the name spinosum layer. Lamellar granules, which are considered the first sign of keratinization, first appear in this layer. They contain lipids such as ceramide, cholesterol, and fatty acid, as well as enzymes such as proteases, acid phosphatases, lipases, and glycosidases. It has been recently shown that cathelicidin, an antimicrobial peptide, is also stored in these lamellar granules. Lamellar bodies known as keratinosome or Adlan bodies are security granules derived from the Golgi apparatus of carnocytes in the upper part of stratum spinosum. From the side of the production, lamellar bodies migrate to the top of the stratum granulosum and then into the intercellular domain of the stratum corneum to extort their contents, which are predominantly lipids. The lipids ultimately form the lamellar lipids bilayer that surrounding keratinocytes and also contribute to permeability period homeostasis of the stratum corneum. This patient include lamellar bodies to undergo exocytosis and secrete lipids such as ceramide 30 to 50% by mass, cholesterol to 25% by mass, and free fatty acid 10-20% by mass. Mostly produced by lamellar bodies. This hydrophobic components goes together to form multiple bilayer of lipids between carnocytes to act the principal barrier to the transcutaneous movement of water and electrolytes. The cytoplasm contains protein not found in the lower layers such as involucrin, keratolanine, and erythrin. This protein becomes crystalline in the stratum corneum to confer strongness to the layer. Stratum spinosum prexit cells filled with filament connect to the desmosome gives prickly look. Melanin granules filling cells in responsible to ultraviolet Langerhans cell found here. Stratum granulosum. Granule layer. Stop dividing, start producing keratin, a tall fibrous protein. Makes up hair and nails. Keratohyalin, dense granules, cross-linked keratin fibers. Cells of stratum granulosum produce protein fibers, dehydrate and die, created tightly interlocked layer of keratin surrounded by keratohyalin. Stratum Granular layer keratinocytes reside in the uppermost viable layer of the epidermis. The granules represent keratohyalin granules, which contain profiligrain, the precursor to filigrain. The protein filigrain cross-link keratin filamentous, providing strongest and structure. When filigrain is degraded, urea, prolidone carboxylic acid, glutamic acid, and other amino acids are produced. These are collectively referred to as the natural maturation factor of the skin. The components of natural maturation factor absorb water from the atmosphere to ensure that the superficial layer of the stratum corneum stay hydrated, as they are water soluble themselves. Excessive water contact may leach them and inhibit their normal function, which is why prolonged contact with water makes the skin dry. Natural maturation factor is a sponge-like substance in the cells. Please look at photo on the slide. Carnocytes connect with each other with carnodesmosome. As a result, degrade or filigrain formate natural maturation factor, absorb water from atmosphere, and as a result, degraded lipid bilayer between carnocytes. Function transepidermal water loss. Stratum lucidum, found only in thick skin, covers stratum granulosum. Stratum corneum, exposed surface of the skin, 16 to 20 layer of the keratinocyte cells, water resistance, shed and replaced every 2 weeks. Stratum corneum, the stratum corneum is the outermost of those 5 layers and largely acts as barrier. The stratum corneum contains about 16 to 20 layers of carnocytes. The stratum corneum is described as the dead layer of the cells because these cells do not exhibit protein synthesis and are unresponsive to cellular signal. Understanding the structure and function of the stratum corneum is vital because it is the key to having skin that is healthy and attractive. A carnocyte is made of tiny thread of keratin. It's an organized embedded in bilayer lipid matrix assembled in a brick and mortar fashion. The brick are composed of keratinocytes and the mortar is made up of contains extoid for the lamellar granules, including lipids and protein, the most amino acid. When the keratinocytes mature to the stratum corneum, enzyme degrade the outer envelope to the lamellar bodies, releasing type of lipid called free fatty acid and ceramide intercellular lipid that are released from the lamellar bodies, those together in the stratum corneum to form continuous layer of lipid amongst amino acid. Carnophoid envelope. Each carnocyte is surrounded by a protein shell called a cell envelope. The cell envelope is composed primarily of 2 proteins, erythrin and involucrin. This protein contains excessive links between each other, making the cell's envelope the most insoluble structure of the carnocytes. Carnophide envelope lipid attached to the cell's envelope is a layer of the ceramide lipid that repel water because this laminar lipids bilayer also repels water. Water molecules are held between the cells envelope lipids and the lipid bilayer. Carnodesmosome derivatives that hold the carnocytes together are specialized protein structures called carnodesmosome. Carnodesmosome are the major structure that the most be degraded from the skin to shed in process called desquamation. Desquamation process, the desquamation or exfoliation process of the stratum corneum actually very complex and only part of the process are fully understood. It is known that several enzymes degraded the carnodesmosome in the specific pattern, but the extract natural of the enzyme or how they become activated in order to start the exfoliation process is known. Water and pH play a significant role in the activity of these enzymes. Lipid bilayer plays a major role in the maintaining the barrier properties of the skin. This helps maintain the water balance in the stratum corneum by trapping water molecules instead of letting them get absorbed into the lower layer of the epidermis. Natural moisturizing factor. The holy layer function as protective barrier. One of the protective functions is to prevent transepidermal water loss. Cells of the mesocornified layer have the most amino acid content and therefore have the highest capability for binding to water. Amino acids and their metabolites or which are byproducts formed for the breakdown filigrane to or were produced during keratinocyte cornification, prolidone carboxylic acid, sweat and secretion of sebum gland, including urea, salt, and organic acid, comprise a substance known as natural moisturizing factor. Intercellular located natural moisturizing factor and lipid released by lamina granules located extracellularly play an important role in the hydration, supplements, and flexibility. Natural moisturizing factors bonding substance in the cells absorb water. Composition of natural moisturizing factor is well known. Free carboxylic acid, prolidone carboxylic acid, urea, sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium salt, sodium salt of lactic and chlorides and phosphatases, amino, uric acid, or other organic acid. Skin surface lipids, triglyceride, wax, fatty acid, squalene, cholesterol ester, diglyceride, cholesterol, ceramide, and glycoceramides. What is the fact that affect natural moisturizing factor? The internal or endogenous factor that influence the skin include genetic, hormones, and specific conditions such as diabetes. A person's genetic determine their skin type, normal, dry, or combination. and affected their overall skin condition. Genetics also determine the biological aging of the skin, which is characterized by a decline in cell regulation and renewal, reduced sebaceous and sweat gland secretion, degeneration of the connective tissues so that the skin is less able to bend in water and less feminine, degeneration of elastic fibers that result in reduced skin elasticity. A predisposition to skin conditions such as atopic dermatitis, psoriasis, and ichthyosis is also decided by genetics. Internal factors that affect natural masculinizing factor is hormones. Female estrogen levels decline as part of the biological aging process, and especially after the menopause. Estrogen has a beneficial effect on the moisture balance of the skin, and its decline led to structural changes and the age-related atrophy of the skin. The external factors that influence skin health, the weather can have significant impact on the condition. Low humidity, hot temperature, sustained cold temperatures reduce sebaceous gland secretion and cause skin to dry out. Harsh skincare products, an inappropriate routine, and exposure to certain chemicals in the workplace can stress skin. The skin is naturally milky acid with pH of between 4.7 and 5.75. Aggressive cleanses and moisturizing products with an alkaline pH overtax skin natural naturalizing capability, damage cell structure, and impair the barrier function of the outermost layer of the epidermis. As a result, the skin can dry out and become sensitive or even hypersensitive. When skin sensitive, it is susceptible to skin infection. Certain chemical peels can have similar effect, and it is important to consult a dermatologist to check that particular procedure is suitable for your skin. Showering or bathing too frequently for too long and with water that is too hot leads to loss of the skin natural moisturizing factor. And surface lipid. Skin dries out and become rough. The pH of healthy skin is milky acid, and frequently washing with tap water that runs from natural to milky alkaline can impact on skin's natural balance and impair its protective barrier function. The pH of healthy skin. Skin is, is Skin is the ultimate multitasker performing several essential roles from our overall well-being. The most important role it plays is as protective barrier between our bodies and the outside world, and the skin's pH is one of its key protective mechanisms. The pH of our skin is constantly changed by external aggressors such as pollution, temperature changes, and harsh chemicals. The optimum pH value of the skin on most of our face and body lays between 4.7 and 5.75. A pH of 7 that of pure water is considered natural. Anything below that is acid and above it's alkaline. So skin is natural pH is multi-acid 5.7 and 5.75. This multi-acid pH is created by skin's hydrolipid film. The epidermis is covered by emulsion of water and lipid fats known as the hydrolipid film. The hydrolipid film is also known as the acid mantle that protects the external layer of the skin. The film maintained by secretion from the sweat and sebaceous gland helps to keep our skin suppleness and acts for their barrier against bacteria and fungi. The water part of film known as the protective acid mantle contains lactic acid and various amino acids from sweet, free fatty acid from sebum, amino acid, prolydium carboxylic acid, and other natural maturation factors, which are mainly byproducts of the keratinization process. This protective acid mantle gives healthy skin its slightly acid pH of between 4.7 and 5.75. The ideal environment for skin-friendly microorganisms known as skin flora to thrive and harmful microorganisms to be destroyed. The formation of epidermal lipids, the enzymes that drive the process of desquamation, the only layer to be able to repair itself when damaged. The acid mantle is key to skin protective barrier in neutralize alkaline-based aggressors such as harsh surfactant, inhibit the growth of bacteria, and restore and maintain the optimum acid environment in which skin natural flora can thrive. If skin's pH rises into the alkaline range, its natural balance is distributed. Essential epidermal lipids cannot be synthesized and the skin loses water and dries out. In that condition, the outer layer of the skin or epidermis is no longer able to work as a protective barrier. When the skin barrier function is comprising, it is less resilient and more sensitive to environment triggers. It can become dry, sensitive or hypersensitive, and susceptible to infections, diseases such as atopic dermatitis and conditions such as rosacea. There are many external and internal factors that may have an impact on skin pH. The external factors that stress skin include changes in temperature and humidity, dirt and pollution, washing too frequently, alkaline cosmetic, chemical with an alkaline pH are particularly detrimental to skin pH. The overtaxed skin, natural neutralizing capability, damage skin structure and impair the skin protective barrier. Certain medicine, chemotherapy, diuretic and antibiotics and medical procedure, radiotherapy and dialysis can also affect skin natural defense. Alter its pH and impair its protective barrier. The pH of male and female skin differ slightly. The average pH of male skin is low due to the higher rate of sebum production in male skin. As hormone changes later in life, for example during puberty, pregnancy, and menopause, the pH of the skin can also change. We can help to support skin optimum pH with healthy lifestyle choice regular skincare routine, and by using products that respect skin natural pH and maintaining its protective barrier. It is also advisable to treat certain area of the body, such as hand, arms, and intimate area, with the products that are formulated to respect their natural pH. Epidermis lies between the epidermis and the subcutaneous fat. It is responsible for the thickness of the skin and as a result plays a key role in the cosmetic appearance of the skin. With aging, this basic layer decreases in thickness and moisture. The dermis is the thick, elastic but firm middle layer of the skin, made up of two sub-layers. The uppermost portion of this layer, which lies beneath the epidermis, is known as the papillary dermis, and the lower portion is known as the reticular dermis. The lower layer or stratum reticulare, deep thick area which forms a fluid border with the subcutaneous tissue. The upper layer or stratum papillary from a defined wolf-like border with the epidermis. The dermis consists of matrix of loose connective tissue composed of fibrous protein, collagen, and elastin, embedded in an amorphous ground substance, gel-like substance. The ground substance consists primarily of water, ions, and complex carbohydrates such as glucose, aminoglycan, hyaluronic acid, which has high capacity for water binding and helps to maintain the value of our skin. Collagen, one of the strongest natural proteins and the most abundant one in humans as well as in skin, imparts durability and resilience to the skin. It has been the focus of much anti-aging research and the target of several skin products and procedures. Elastic fibers represent one of the essential components of the collection of extracellular matrix of connective tissue. They convey resilience and elasticity to skin. As we age, our natural production of collagen and elastin slows down and the skin ability to bend in water decreases. Skin look less tanned and wrinkles appear. Fibroblasts are the primary cell type in the dermis. They produce collagen, elastin, other matrix protein, and enzymes such as collagenase and stromatolin. Immune cells such as mast cells, polymorphic nuclear leukocytes, lymphocytes, and macrophages are also present in the epidermis. The dermis plays a key role in protecting the body from external influence and irritants as well as feeding the outermost layer of the skin from without. Its thick, firm texture helps to cushion external blows, and when damage occurs, it contains connective tissue such as fibroblasts and mast cells that heal wounds. It is rich in blood vessels that nourish the epidermis while removing host. The sebaceous gland with liver sebum or oil to the surface of the skin, and the sweat gland which deliver water and lactic acid to the surface of the skin, or both located in the dermis. These fluids combine together to take up the hydrolipid film. The dermis is also home to lymph vessels, sensory receptor, hair growth, and polyps end of hair shaft where hair is developing. The skin microbiota of the skin microbiome. The skin microflora are microorganisms that are resident on our skin. Microflora are friendly and more correctly called the skin microbiota or the skin microbiome. Bacteria species are by far the most numerous. However, fungi, viruses, and mites are also found on the skin of normal healthy humans. Microorganisms are found all over the skin surface. The normal skin is inhabited by resident flora present permanently, multiply in the skin, usually non-pathogenic, Staphylococcus epidermis, Streptococcus hominis, diphtheroids, and Parinobacterium acne. It's normally floor. Transit floor, right from exogenous sources, do not multiply in the skin, often pathogenic Salmonella, Shigella, Rotavirus. Function of resident flora or microbiota skin. Resident flora are important defense mechanisms against pathogenic organisms because they compete with pathogenic organisms for nutrients, produce antibiotic and other chemical with inhibit growth of pathogenic called bacterial cells. Modify secretion of skin to make skin less variable habitat for pathogenic. They enhance the immune responsible to pathogenic bacteria via interferon, other cytokines, and phagocytosis. Lipoic acid in the cell's wall of gram-positive bacteria stimulates mast cells to release catalycidin and antimicrobial peptides. Other function of the skin. Sensory protection allow you to feel pain, pressure, heat that helps us to identify potential dangers and avoid injury. Thermal regulation, blood vessel can constrict or dilate to the rise or low body temperature. Sweat production, excretion, metabolism, and absorption function. Type of the skin. It is important to know your own skin type so that you can optimally care for your skin. This isn't always easy as in everyone's skin different and changing over time. However, skin can be categorized based on 5 types. Skin is often classified into 4 types according to the activity of the oily production sebaceous gland. This classification is commonly used for facial skin because the skin type can vary in the individual depending on age, body size, and season and state of health. Dry skin, oily skin, normal skin. Normal is not particularly oily or dry. It is smooth and firm to touch and the skin pores are barely noticeable. Combination skin type of the skin has tendency to the greasy in the center, T-zone of the forehead, nose, center of cheeks and chin. The skin on the other area is normal or dry. Dry skin, it has been established that water keeps the horny layer supple and ensure neutralization of acid and alkali. A water can, content of 10-20% in the stratum corneum is said to be required to keep it soft and pliable. An alteration of the period, be repeated exposure to surfactant, for instance, can cause an increase in transepidermal water loss to the extent that water is lost faster than it can be replaced from the underlying tissue. This results in the horny layer during out precipitating the dry skin condition. Dry skin, almost invisible pores, dull roof and complexion, red patches. Your skin is less elastic, more visible lines. Your skin can crack, peel, or become itchy, irritated, or inflamed. If it's very dry, it can become rough and scaly, especially and on the back of your hand, arms, and legs. Dry skin may be caused or made worse by young your genes, aging or hormone changes, whether such as warm sun or cold, ultraviolet radiation from tanning beds, indoor heating, long hot baths and showers. Medication. Oily skin result from the excessive activity of sebaceous gland, with produce the lipid structure secretion known as SIBO. There are several factors that can cause or can contribute to oily or greasy skin. Genetic inher- inheritance, hormone changes, diet, stress, and external agents, chemical, ultraviolet light. Changes in hormone levels that occur during puberty, the menstrual cycle, use of oral contraceptive, and pregnancy tend to influence the activity of the sebaceous gland, which can result in the variable of oily skin. Oily skin, enlarged pore, dull or shiny thick complication, blackhead, pimples, or other bleach. Oiliness can change depending upon the time of year or the water on the weather. Things that can cause or worse it include puberty or other hormonal imbalance, stress, heat, or the much humidity. To take care of oily skin, wash it no more than twice a day, and after use, you sweat a lot. Use a use a gentle cleanser and don't scrub. Don't pick pop or squeeze pimples, they will take longer to heal. Look for the word no comedonic or skincare products and cosmetic. This mean is one cold process. Composite skin type. Your skin can be dry or normal in some area and oily in other areas such as T-zone. Nose, forehead, and shiny maybe people have this type. It is maybe needs slightly different care in different area. Combination skin can have pores that look large than normal because they are more open. Blackheads, shiny skin. Sensitive skin, it can show up as redness, itching, burning, and dryness. If your skin is sensitive, try to find out what your triggers are so you can avoid them. Avoid them. There are many possible reasons, but often it not responds to particular skin care products. Please put the I showing you films about how you can know what are your skin type. Pajamas, look.
Hi, I'm beauty expert Tracy O'Connor, and today I'm going to show you how to test for oily, dry, or normal skin type. Well, there are a lot of skin types out there. Most of us fall into one of the following categories. We either have normal skin, oily skin, dry skin, or a combination of all of those three. So on Ashlyn today, I'm going to demonstrate how to find out what skin type you have at home. All you're going to need is an oil blotting paper. You can usually get one of these at a beauty supply store or a drugstore. Now with Ashlyn's skin, just starting to look at her skin, I can tell that she has a little bit of T-zone oiliness. You can see she has a little bit of breakout right there in the T-zone, but it appears to me that she happens to have some dryness around the jawline and maybe even at the top of her forehead. Now at home, go ahead and grab your oil blotting paper, and then we're gonna go ahead and place the paper in a few key regions, starting with the T-zone. We're just gonna tap this right here. Okay, now we can see immediately that Ashlyn has some oiliness right here on her skin. Right here, you can see that's the oil that's being absorbed onto the paper. So she does have T-zone oiliness. And we're gonna go ahead and see the other areas of her face. Now at home, if you don't have the oil blotting paper, if you look in the mirror and you have a little bit of congestion along the forehead, maybe the sides of the nose, maybe even in the chin area, that is a great sign that you do have oily skin and oiliness in the T-zone. Now I'm just gonna take the same oil blotting paper, and I'm gonna place it right here on the side of Ashlyn's cheek. Very, very little oil comes up. Now that tells me that Ashlyn's skin here is balanced. I think that is just about the right amount of oil that we'd wanna see coming up on the paper. It's not too much, and it also isn't completely dry. Ashlyn's skin appears to be very balanced in this region with the T-zone oiliness. Now at home, if you place this paper in your T-zone and on some surrounding areas, you're able to diagnose what kind of skin type you have. If no oiliness pops up at all onto the paper, then you may have dry skin or very dry skin. And if that's the case, you need to definitely incorporate a very strong moisturizer into your routine. Now, because Ashlyn has a fair amount of oiliness, I'm gonna choose an oil-free moisturizer for her. I'm gonna choose the Ultra Facial Oil-Free Lotion by Kiehl's. I'm just going to place just a little smaller than a dime size amount right here on my ring finger. And we're going to apply on the 4 parts of Ashlyn's face. Right here on the forehead, the cheeks, the nose, and the chin. You might ask, why do we need to moisturize any areas that have oily skin? Now, I like to add hydration to the skin. Obviously, this is oil-free, so we're not adding any more oils to the skin. Ashlyn tends to have a little bit of overproduction when it comes to oil. So what we're doing is we're just adding hydration. So we're actually adding water to the skin cell. This has vitamin E, which is incredibly nourishing to the skin. When you have oily skin, you still need nourishment. You still need to deliver nutrition to the skin cell. If your skin is different than Ashlyn's, and maybe you are severely dehydrated, and maybe you have a little bit of even chapped skin, you absolutely want to look for a very strong moisturizer. You want to look for something that contains glycerin. That's a great emollient. Also, honey is an incredible emollient. It will tract water from the outside into your skin. The goal of a moisturizer is to deliver healthy, radiant skin. And you want balanced skin. We want skin that isn't overly oily and that isn't overly dry. We're looking for skin that is the perfect combination. And when your skin is in that perfect balanced state, it will absolutely glow. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking to achieve that balance in our skin. You know when your skin is in a healthy state because it feels smooth, it looks radiant, it has a healthy glow. When our skin is healthy, we also feel better about ourselves. When our skin looks good, we feel good. So it's important to have a regimen and to find the right moisturizer that's perfect for you, whether you're dry, whether you're oily, or whether you're like Ashlyn, like most of us, combination. And one final tip, as we get older, our skin does change. We may have a little bit of oily skin when we're younger, and as we get older, our skin becomes drier or more sensitive. So be very aware of your skin as you age, also the environment that you're in, whether it's summer or winter. The seasons can also change the way our skin operates. So be aware that our skin does tend to change over time. So when you're younger, you may have oily skin like Ashlyn, and as you get older, it may become combination or even dehydrated. So just be aware as your skin changes, and you may also need to change your product regimen as that happens. So there you go, that's how to test whether your skin is oily, dry, or normal. I'm Tracy O'Connor, thanks for watching.
If one goes back to the high school science classroom, one could recall the fact that whenever we talk about substances, we talk about physical and chemical properties, and the physical property is dependent on what is known as the skin pH. Now the skin pH could vary from somewhere from 0 to 14, and right in the center, 7 denotes neutrality, whereas below 7 denotes acidity and above 7 denotes alkalinity. Skin pH is usually acidic, varying between a range of 4 to 6 in adults, which acts as a good barrier for the skin, preventing the loss of water from the skin. In newborns, the pH value is a little higher. It's almost close to 7 as compared to adults. However, there is a decline in the pH value from day 3 to day 30. So by the time the child is 1 month, there is a decline, and by the time the child is 3 months, the pH value is higher on areas like the cheeks, the buttocks, and the lower part of the forehead and the forearms. Babies with sensitive skin need that extra or special care and should use pH balanced skin cleanser to keep it healthy and moisturized. In order to take care of the extra delicate skin of a newborn, it is essential to balance the need for effective cleansing and to maintain the pH of the skin. It is important to use baby products which are pH balanced for this range of pH in baby skin and 100% soap-free to prevent typical skin problems like baby acne, eczemas of the newborn, dry skin, and itchy rashes.
Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.
Да, сейчас закрою презентацию.